Yo, what up? Welcome to another episode of the Oakland Warriors podcast. I'm Patrick, flying solo. And the Warriors started off their preseason. They beat the Washington Wizards 96-87 in Japan. And I'll be honest, I did not wake up or stay up until 3 a.m. West Coast time to watch this one, but I did watch it as soon as I was able to in the morning. And man, that was fun. That was fun. You know, from a preseason perspective, all you want is obviously no one, especially the vets, no one to get injured. And the Warriors, they didn't play Andre Iguodala, who doesn't need to play in the preseason. They didn't play Klay Thompson, who obviously, you want to give him as much rest. And Steve Kerr, they want to err on the side of caution with him. And Draymond, Looney, Steph, they all came out of this game fine. They played a handful of minutes each. And, all good. All good. That's all you want from those dudes because you know what you get from them. That's all that matters, especially at this stage of their collective careers. But what I really wanted to see and what I'm sure a lot of Warriors fans wanted to see was basically all the young dudes. The Warriors, they have a stable of prospects and they have 3 really, really good lottery picks from the past 3 years. They got James Wiseman, Jonthan Kuminga, Moody. And I mean, it was fun, like the future of this team looks really, really bright. It's just one game, but, saw some definite positives. You don't want to get carried away, but there were some things that were good. Let's talk about Wiseman first. The idea that James Wiseman was a bust was always unfair, right? If you listen to the show, you know that I'm a big Wiseman fan, always have been. And I just wanted to see him be aggressive and be powerful, use that size, that strength. In this game, he showed it. I always talk about like he just needs more dog in him. And to be honest, he looked like a man out there for the first time. His rookie season, when he played only 39 games before tearing his meniscus, he looked like just a big kid, at least to me. So seeing him out there with playing with force and just knowing that he was like the biggest dude on the court was great. As opposed to his rookie season when, in 2020, when like the Warriors were all pretty much still going to hell. Klay had just torn his Achilles and Steve Kerr and the coaching staff, they just decided to put him into the starting lineup. They anointed him like the future right there. Everybody's talking about how he's huge and he's like the most athletic player on the team already. And they didn't really focus on what he needed to do. And there was all that, chatter about him playing with Steph, all this other stuff. But what it looks like now is, James Wiseman knows what he needs to do, what his role is on this team. And I think that's a big deal. And it's also a big deal for this Warriors team to have evolved in the last couple of seasons, right? A couple of seasons ago, they just needed to see what they had. They were just throwing stuff at the wall without Klay, trying to see if they could sneak into the playoffs. And obviously they lost in the play-in round that season. And there was some random and weird pressure on James Wiseman, right? There were all the Giannis comps, the David Robinson comps. And not to say that that talent isn't there, but now after winning a title, it's like, it's clear that we need James Wiseman to do this, right? They need him to come in, rim run, be huge, block shots, defend the paint, go up for lobs, all that jazz, right? Rebound, whatever. And I feel like that's what he just went out there to do. He played with purpose and played with intention. And a big question was his playability, right? Everybody was talking about like, well, I guess he'll back up Kevon Looney. But there were people who were doubting whether or not he could be that guy. And as long as he's healthy, he can definitely be that guy. His playability is there. And I don't think there's any question that he's learned a lot, even though he hasn't played much. And apparently he's been scrimmaging a lot in the Warriors facility for the past month, just getting more reps. And I think that's huge because he's just getting more experience, more court time, getting to know some of his teammates and all that jazz. So it was really promising. The dude scored 20 points on 8 for 11. He had 9 boards, but he probably could have had maybe at least 11 or 12. He still needs to work on that a little bit, but I'm not gonna complain about it. He looks confident, and I think that's one of the biggest things coming from a guy who's coming off of 500 plus days of not playing in an NBA game, playing in the summer league. It's funny, right? Because people were like questioning like how good Wiseman is, and even obviously in his short G League stint back in March. But you just kind of see how much better he is when he's playing with real NBA players, right? Because as a center, he can't do much unless those other guys set him up or pass him the ball or whatever. And a lot of times in those games, there's dudes who are just trying to get theirs, trying to, show out, knowing that there's eyes on the game because Wiseman's in it. So, they try to show a little flash here and there. So Wiseman, it's all good. It's all positive. I thought he was really active on defense. He seemed like he was talking more out there. He seemed like he didn't look lost, right? That was one of the things when he played his rookie year. He wasn't exactly sure where to be. But this time, again, one game only, but this time he felt like he knew his spots. Yes, he missed some rotations here and there, but all signs positive. We're not looking for a finished product. We're just looking for a guy who has, made some strides forward. And I think he's definitely done that. One thing too is like, we all loved Gary Payton II for being that 6'2", 6'3" guy in the dunker spot. But, I think James Wiseman in that dunker spot will be really, really helpful, and they'll probably use him more often. There was a point in the game where Steph and Draymond and Wiseman and Moody and Kuminga were all on the court at the same time. And I tweeted this out. I swear, like my head almost exploded, right? Because just seeing those 3 young dudes, their 3 lottery picks with their 2, main guys, to be honest, I was like, wow, that's a hell of a roster they got there. Let's face facts, right? Like they're young, but then when you look at those dudes, there's still Jordan Poole, who wasn't in the game. Andrew Wiggins wasn't in the game. Kevon Looney wasn't in the game. Klay Thompson wasn't in the game. So there's a lot of talent on this squad. And, I think people want to sleep on them a little bit because they have so much youth and because they lost Otto Porter Jr. and Gary Payton II. But I mean, you look at this team, man, and they look really, really solid. Again, don't want to get ahead of myself, but and with Wiseman though, he's just another kind of toy for Draymond and Steph to play with, right? Now they have that guy again. They can just lob the ball up to like they used to JaVale McGee back in the day. And I think that having him as a threat, it's his rookie season, right? They started doing that, but Wiseman was still kind of like figuring his stuff out. And again, not a finished product, but like he seems like he knows a little bit more about what his role is. He's not taking 3-point shots. He's not trying to dribble the ball up the court and be, David Robinson just yet. He took one mid-range jumper from near the baseline in the second half and it went in. So good. He picks and chooses his spots. He's making right decisions, and that's a good start. And, again, as long as he's healthy, I believe in the kid. Jonthan Kuminga, I was really curious to see his minutes with James Wiseman. They obviously played in summer league together. Kuminga, he had some tough moments out there. I think he's still learning to play on ball. In summer league, he did a lot of on ball point forward type stuff. And I feel like he is still learning how to do that. The thing about Kuminga is like he's so athletic, but he's really, really more athletic going like in straight lines, right? Like just driving at the basket on a cut, something like that. He's still, in terms of like his ball handling, still a little iffy. He got picked by Taj Gibson in the second half at the top of the key. And then sometimes when he dribbles, he's not the best at getting past somebody, right? Because like his lateral moves aren't there just yet. But I think he'll pick up along the way. He's going to make a lot of mistakes still, especially if he's going to have the ball in his hands more. And I am curious, again, to see how his minutes with Wiseman evolve, because both those guys are great in the dunker spot. They're both great cutting and everything like that. But as I've said before, it's an embarrassment of riches. It's a good problem to have, whatever you want to call it. So he just needs to tighten up that handle and really, really just focus on making good decisions. He got to the foul line a little bit. He got 4 for 6 from the free throw line. And that's not bad. You know, we always talk about how his physicality and his drives to the basket and his quickness, just, you know, getting up off the ground and pump faking people up into the air and picking up, you know, easy fouls that way on folks. That's going to be a huge weapon. So again, another positive. Moses Moody, solid with Klay Thompson out and Jordan Poole in the starting lineup. Moody came in the first quarter, halfway through the first quarter, which is usually when Klay Thompson sits. So Jordan Poole sat, and then Moody came in, part of the regular rotation. And he looked good. He's solid. And, you know, we all kind of know that he is probably the most trusted out of the 3 lottery picks right now, because he just comes in and does his thing. He still is a little bit slow-footed. If you watched him, he got blown by a couple times. And again, I think that's just technique. And also, you know, over the years, he's going to have to figure out how to quicken up a little bit and also anticipate guys' moves. But that comes with reps. And so, you know, he's good to go. We got a chance to see Ryan Rollins, and he looked, I like him. You know, I kind of see why the Warriors decided to give him a guaranteed contract as a second rounder. Of course, he had a broken foot in summer league, so he didn't play. But, you know, there's something I like about him. He definitely has this kind of aggression. And I think that confidence from that aggression is going to be something that will take him far in this league. I think that he should hopefully dominate in summer league. He has that kind of basketball ability. The one thing I'd like to see him work on is he can get to the rack, but his finishing and decision-making at the bucket didn't look so hot, because he doesn't have the craziest athleticism. So he can't like get past somebody and then just go up for a dunk when that person catches up to him. But what happens is, you know, he gets there and he throws a layup up, and sometimes, you know, it doesn't go in. He tried a couple fadeaways. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But overall, those were some positive minutes for him for a fan base that hadn't seen the guy yet. So I think he could definitely be some kind of backup point guard down the road. We'll see how he looks in the rest of preseason. Patrick Baldwin Jr., the Warriors' first round pick, he looked decent. You know, he looks taller. You know how like a lot of times people aren't as tall as how they're listed on the stat sheet. I think PBJ is that tall, because when you see him stand next to Wiseman, it's like, oh, okay. PBJ is like what, listed at 6'9", 6'10", and that looks actually kind of legit. He doesn't look like he's 6'7", 6'8", and they just fudged it. So I can appreciate that. He hit his first 3, which was good. He still brings the ball really, really low. Like when he sets, if you watch him, and it shouldn't be too much of a problem, but I mentioned it during the draft. He catches the ball and then he kind of brings it almost to his waist, and then he launches into his shooting motion. You know, me personally, like it'd be great if he could learn from Klay, who can basically just catch the ball and then just go straight up into his 3-point shot, like from anywhere on the court. It's a question of a half second, somebody blocking your shot or somebody like snagging the ball when you bring it down. So it's just something to keep an eye on. But yeah, looks like he's got talent, so I can appreciate that. Quinndary Weatherspoon, I think he should make the roster. I mean, he really reminds me of kind of a shorter Juan Toscano-Anderson, to be honest. Like a guy who'll go out there, understands he needs to do the dirty work. He can play defense. He's strong. He seems tough. And somebody that if you need him in a pinch, he can go out there and not make too many mistakes, like in, blowouts or whatever. So, he may not get many minutes on this roster per se, but I think he could deserve some time there. There was no Mac McClung in this game, for all y'all wondering. He didn't get any minutes, the high flying dude from Summer League. So that's all I got. There's another game tonight, which is at 10 p.m. West Coast time. So I'm going to tune into that as well and hopefully see some more of these positive signs, and hopefully, fingers crossed, knock on wood, there are no injuries at all. Anyway, it's good to be back. I'm really, really looking forward to this season because there's just a lot of storylines. All right, well, that is another episode of the Oakland Warriors podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Feel free to hit me up on Twitter at Patrick E. Pino or at Oakland Warriors. Check out our YouTube channel where you can watch this episode, youtube.com/Oakland Warriors. Check us out at oaklandwarriors.com, and be sure to tell your fellow Warrior fan friends to tune in and listen. The Oakland Warriors podcast is produced by National Film Society and is a part of the Basketball Podcast Network. And if you're so inclined, please do leave us a 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you want to leave us a nice review saying good stuff about the show on Apple Podcasts, that would be hugely, hugely appreciated, and it would be very, very helpful. Thanks. That's it.
Music in this episode provided by Paper Sun. Special thanks to Paul Amardo for production support. See you next time, and go Dubs.